Hey guys, I'm Dan, this is Bucket List Fit, and today's video is about how to prevent getting blisters when you run, and if you do get one, how to treat blisters if you have them. So stick around and learn everything you need to know about blisters. Alright, so for the first thing that you need to know about preventing blisters is picking the right type of shoe. I already made a video about how to pick the right shoe for you, but there's a couple things that you can do to prevent blisters by the type of shoe that you buy. So the first thing you can do is make sure that your shoe is long enough. So that what you want to do is make sure you have a thumb's width length past from when your big toe ends and where the end of the shoe is. So you make sure that you have that thumb in between the two, and that's going to allow for your feet to swell when you're out for a run. And that's what's going to happen when you're on a long run. Your feet get hot, all the blood starts pumping down into your feet, they swell up, and any area where there isn't enough gap around your shoe is just going to cause friction. It's going to cause a blister. So the first thing, making sure you have enough length on the end. The second thing you want to do when picking a shoe is making sure you have enough width in the toes. This is something that you really want to make sure you do if you're running on a lot on trails or you're running on a lot of uneven terrain, because you want to make sure you have enough room for your toes to spread out, and if that isn't the case, what's going to happen is your toes are going to overlap and they're going to cause friction between the toes. And quite often you're not really going to notice something like that until you start running on different types of terrain. So if, say, you've always been running on the road and all of a sudden you decide to change it up and start running on the trails, that's when you're going to notice that maybe your toe box wasn't quite wide enough. So when you're picking the shoe, make sure you have enough width beyond your toes on the left and the right as well. And the third thing you want to do is make sure that your heel of your shoe is a properly snug fit. So not too loose that you're sliding all around, but not too tight that it's restricting anything. But the reason why you don't want it too loose is when you start running on uphills and downhills, what's going to happen is, if it's too loose, is your heel is going to be slipping, and it's going to be slipping up and down, and you're going to cause blisters on the back of your heel right in there. So those are the three things that you really want to focus on when picking your shoe. The second thing you want to do is pick the right type of socks. So the first thing I'd like to say about socks is you want to pick a sock that's going to wick away the sweat as effectively as possible. And one of the worst types of socks that do this is cotton, and usually that's the type of sock you'll see at the department stores. Usually the really cheap socks are those cotton socks, and what happens is, as you start running, your feet start to sweat, and your socks, if they're cotton, will not be wicking away the sweat quite as well as they could be doing. That stickiness creates friction in your feet to allow to start making friction on the back of the shoe, and that's when the blisters start to happen, after your feet have sweat. So I would recommend at least buying a sock. I'm not saying you have to go out and buy $15 pairs of socks or anything like that, but at least buy socks that don't have cotton in them. At least that's what works for me. I usually buy something that is a little bit polyester in a spandex blend or something like that. And then also make sure you're not running in socks that have a bunch of holes in them. So here's a sock that is, well, it should be out of commission for me now. It's got a nice big hole in the toe there. Any holes, anything like that, that's going to allow friction points to make contact between your foot and the outside of the shoe. So definitely, if you start getting holes in your socks, throw those away. And the third thing that I'd recommend you do to prevent blisters is, especially if you're running it on the trails and you're running on long runs, and if you carry a pack with you like I like to do on my trail runs, I always bring with me an emergency pack for when I start feeling hot spots. So if I'm starting to feel a hot spot on my foot, on my heel, wherever, on my toes, I have this pack with me, and what it has is medical tape, bandages, and a Ziploc bag of Vaseline. And what that's going to allow me to do is, if I'm feeling that hot spot, I can stop, take off my shoe, take off my sock, put on some Vaseline to make it smooth again. Vaseline doesn't do the trick. Then I'll take a bandage, and then I'll also put some medical tape over top of that, and that usually holds it down. The medical tape is just so it actually holds it down. If you just put a bandage down, quite often you'll find that the sticky part of the bandage will just slowly lose its stickiness from being hot, being in a sweaty spot like your foot. So yeah, medical tape over top will keep it down, no problem. That's how you treat a blister when you're out on the run. But sometimes you might find that you keep getting the same hot spot, you keep getting blisters, or you're prone to blisters in certain spots. In that case, go out, buy some Vaseline from a general store, and just put the Vaseline on your heel or on your toe, wherever, before every run. Or you can also get some bandages and medical tape and do that. Or the third step is you can buy blister bandages, and they work really well as well. Sometimes they're called second skin, and what's so great about these is that they actually have a really smooth surface on the outside of the blister bandage, which acts almost like skin, has no friction at all, so then the rubbing on the bandage won't cause any friction at all. They work quite well, but sometimes when they're wet they lose their stickiness as well. So these are the quick tips that I recommend. First quick thing you can do is go out and buy some better socks to do the trick. You're probably gonna have to go out and buy a new shoe that's gonna fit you a little bit better, but in the meantime, be sure that you're using Vaseline, be sure that you're using the bandages with the medical tape, and you're using blister bandages to prevent and treat it and to make your runs suck just a little bit less and have a little bit less hot spots. So those are all my tips. Thanks a lot for watching. Be sure to subscribe to keep getting running tips, and I'll see you in the next video.